Well, this is the new Maserati GranCabrio Sport. New introduction to the range. The GranCabrio in the UK has actually been Maserati's best-selling model, but this Sport is meant, I expect, will take over from the standard GranCabrio because it is very, very tasty. They've added little detail improvements all around the car. It's got 10 extra horsepower. It's got new brakes, uprated brakes. The Skyhook suspension's been uprated, and the gearbox changes faster than it did before. But the main thing, as ever with a Maserati GranCabrio, it still looks fantastic. But the ultra sporting model, this one being the Sport, just gets little detail improvements all round. If I take you round, we've got black headlights at the front, the black grille rather than having chrome on it. Little tiny details, you can see the red stripes in the trident. Extra little bits to improve drag on the splitter, extra bit on the sill, and then round the back we have a bit of a diffuser going on with the MC Sport Pack. A really, really nice looking car. So that's the main differences on the outside, but what really matters is how it drives. And one thing that hasn't changed on the GranCabrio to GranCabrio Sport is it still actually has the automatic gearbox. The MC Shift in the Gran Turismo, there is this option of having the paddle change, which is the mechanical gearbox, automated mechanical gearbox in the rear in the transaxle, but the Sport version of this car still has the automatic gearbox. They've just speeded up the changes. Just put the windows up. So you still end up with an automatic gearbox controller in the middle rather than just the buttons. I have to say, living with the MC Shift is an acquired taste at the best of times. What it can't do is slow speed manoeuvring, and actually that's where this automatic gearbox really comes into its own. One of the other differences they've done in this car is they've introduced something called Sport Skyhook. And I have to go a bit geeky now, because Skyhook is Maserati's term for their fully adjustable dampers. And it's a funny system because it actually, when you set off and you're just driving like this, it's almost as though there's no damping at all. So it's really good for ride, but then it automatically adjusts. As soon as it hits bumps or it feels steering or you're driving aggressively, oh, very tight little road this. As soon as you start driving aggressively, it tightens up the dampers. The downside of this system is when you're just cruising along, you hit a bump, it's like you've got no dampers and it does a little wobble. Well, this Sport Skyhook does seem to get rid of that trait, which is a really good thing. The Skyhook does improve the ride, there's no doubt. It just never really reacted fast enough before. You can see it's very civilised, but it has another trick up its sleeve, the Maserati GranCabrio Sport, in that for the first time in the GranCabrio you can have the Sport and the Sport's exhaust. Absolutely standard, but boy does it make a difference to how you feel about the car. There's a great sounding engine, but I just love the way it's valved. So you can cruise like this, you'd never know behind this button there's this. Like that all the time, but when the mood grabs you, boy is it enjoyable. Other things I like is the lack of buffeting. We're cruising along, we're doing, let's see, 90 clicks, so about 55 miles an hour. This is extremely civilised for a big four-seater cab like this. Because it's 4 seats, normally a cabriolet like this is really quite drafty, but with the windows up, cruising along like this, it's no problem at all. If I was going to summarise what's good about this car and what's not so good about this car, well, the not so good bits first. The seats, this is quite a sporting car, but I'm sort of flopping about in this seat. They don't really grip you in any way, which is a bit of a surprise. The other thing, It's still quite heavy, this car. This is 1990 kilos, which is pretty on the porky side really. Thank goodness it's got this engine, this Ferrari engine, but the downside of that weight is it's a little bit slow to react in the corners, and it doesn't half drink fuel. When you're really gunning it, this can drink fuel like there's no tomorrow. But on the upside, it's a very, very usable four-seater cabriolet. It looks absolutely gorgeous, and oh, it sounds like this.